Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes. It's now being reported that WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins reportedly sustained a torn MCL and partially torn meniscus this past Monday night on Raw. We got all of the details on his injury, if he's expected to undergo surgery, if he's expected to miss any ring time, what this means on the road to WrestleMania. Speaking of which, what were his original plans for WrestleMania 40? They've now been revealed as well. Kazuchika Okada is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, and WWE and AEW reportedly are set to fight it out to sign the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Speaking of signings, where is Mercedes Monae going to land? There are some in both WWE and AEW that still think the former Women's Champion is set to arrive in either company. We have an update on the health of Kenny Omega after he was struck down with diverticulitis, an update on when Will Ospreay is set to return to AEW television, an update also on Austin Theory after he suffered a concussion last week on SmackDown. Dark Side of the Ring Season 5 is coming soon. We've got some of the episode titles and episode subjects as well. And it's now been revealed when Elimination Chamber in Perth is going to start in the United States, in the UK, and in Australia. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling, and we have to start with Seth Rollins, this big developing and breaking news story. I did say earlier on today that we probably would find out the extent of Seth Rollins' injury either today or over the weekend. Turns out it is today, Friday, and it's not good news when it comes to the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Seth Rollins sustained an injury at Raw on January 15, and I suppose there's good and bad news if you're a fan of the Architect. Fightful Select learned that as of Monday night, Rollins told people backstage that he didn't think that he'd sustained an ACL tear. One WWE higher-up that Fightful spoke to said, quote, "Considering he's powerbombed a 300-pound man on a torn ACL, we think he understands what that might feel like," end quote. Unfortunately, though, the word in WWE and sources near to Rollins are that he sustained a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. However, it is not known as of yet if he will require surgery, though the hope is he can avoid it. Fightful also aren't sure how WWE will play things on television or if the injury will be downplayed or embellished. We'll have to wait and see. Rollins, of course, has a history of knee problems and has worked through many of them in the past. Several in WWE put over Rollins' toughness and resolve throughout the match and the immediate aftermath. Of course, infamously, famously, Rollins did suffer a torn MCL, or at least a partially torn MCL, a knee injury in the build-up to WrestleMania 33 back in 2017 when he was scheduled to face Triple H. It was the debut of Samoa Joe on the main roster. Rollins suffered the injury. He did end up working the match against Triple H at WrestleMania. It was around a similar time of the year, so certainly anything is possible when it comes to Seth Rollins for WrestleMania 40. Now, it had been reported over the weekend by the likes of PW Insider as well as the WWE events page that Rollins had been pulled from all of the live events over the weekend. Instead, he had been replaced by Randy Orton. And we also got a bit of an update when it comes to the more immediate plans for Seth Rollins moving forward on WWE television, as WrestleVotes reported and put out earlier today, quote, "I'm told the plan as of now is for Seth Rollins to address his health and future as World Heavyweight Champion this Monday night on Raw." As I mentioned, that was before this news broke regarding Rollins' MCL injury as well as the partially torn meniscus. So we'll have to wait and see indeed how things play out on television. Still a lot of the news we don't totally know right now. This is a developing and breaking story. But what are your thoughts when it comes to Seth Rollins? What are your thoughts when it comes to this torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus? Given the fact he suffered a similar injury back in 2017 and still worked WrestleMania, is that a positive sign for you? Or do you think it's going to be a situation where Rollins is going to have to drop the World Heavyweight Championship and possibly have different plans heading into WrestleMania? Speaking of those plans, it's now been revealed today that the original plan, and I guess the plan if Rollins is healthy, is to do the match against CM Punk at WrestleMania 40. Following his return to WWE at Survivor Series, CM Punk is yet to return to the ring, at least on television. He has worked a couple of matches at WWE live events. However, that streak will be broken at the Royal Rumble when he takes on 29 other superstars as he bids to earn a world title opportunity in the main event of WrestleMania. Now, while there's no word on whether Punk is going to be the man to win the Rumble match itself, he is reportedly heading for a big money bout, or at least was heading to a big money bout at WrestleMania WrestleMania 40. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter today, Dave Meltzer noted that CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is the confirmed plan for Philadelphia for WrestleMania weekend. The pair have been at odds on WWE television ever since Punk returned, seemingly building on Rollins' real-life dislike of the star. Meltzer said the following, quote, Seth Rollins versus Punk is the confirmed WrestleMania plan. Reigns' opponent, when it comes to Roman Reigns, is expected to be either The Rock or Cody Rhodes, or it could be a three-way. Kind of the second part of there is more of a guess as opposed to, I guess, insider knowledge. But when it comes to Rollins' injury, that is now up in the air. So do you think we will see CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40? If Rollins can be fit and healthy in time, should they still pursue with the match? Should it still be for the World Heavyweight Championship? Or should and could WWE pivot to something else? Let me know your thoughts or reaction to all of this in the comment section below. As I mentioned, if we get any more information on the health and the plans for Rollins moving forward on WWE television, we'll let you know in future videos. Now, a huge story is about the pro wrestling future of Kazuchika Okada. One place it isn't is in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The New Japan Pro Wrestling icon has decided that it is time for a new challenge. He confirmed the news on Thursday night, making it official through an announcement with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, though this is a major loss, multiple sources in New Japan Pro Wrestling all relayed the same message, reportedly in an article to Sports Illustrated, that Okada's departure was not unexpected, nor did it catch anyone by surprise. So it begs the question, where is Okada going to go? Is he going to go to WWE? Is he going to go to AEW? Is he going to go elsewhere? As of this moment, according to Sports Illustrated, AEW is the favorite to land Kazuchika Okada. He has a pre-existing relationship with AEW owner Tony Khan, and his visit to Dynamite this past October, that was on the October 25th episode of Dynamite, was, for all intents and purposes, an opportunity to see how the company operated at a live television taping. Okada, according to SI, has struck up a friendship with on-screen rival Bryan Danielson, who has gained his trust, and he remains close with AEW Executive Vice Presidents Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. There is, though, also significant interest from WWE in the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, specifically from Paul Triple H Levesque and Shawn Michaels. Sports Illustrated has confirmed that fact. While it is difficult to procure information from Okada's camp, multiple sources close to New Japan Pro Wrestling revealed that he has always wanted to perform at a WrestleMania. Levesque is aware of this and has the right opponent, specifically AJ Styles and Finn Balor, two of whom have pre-existing relationships with Okada and would be perfect for Okada's debut if indeed he were to wrestle at WrestleMania 40, which he would be able to after his contract expires with New Japan Pro Wrestling at the end of this month. For WWE, this is a chance to really change the wrestling landscape. If WWE lands Okada, it represents a huge opportunity for Levesque and WWE President Nick Khan to build a genuine relationship with New Japan. That does not necessarily mean that WWE will replace AEW and hold its own version of the Forbidden Door joint pay-per-view, but if WWE signs Okada and allows him to work a major New Japan show once a year, it will go a long way to building trust with the Japanese promotion. Now, according to SI, a point of emphasis which strongly plays into All Elite Wrestling's favor is that Tony Khan is willing to sign Okada regardless of where he lives. If Okada wants to continue living in Japan, he can still sign with AEW. Similarly to how Will Ospreay has signed with AEW, but will still reside in the United Kingdom instead of relocating to the United States. Of course, that kind of situation is really what Okada's now having to weigh up, because the idea of staying in Japan and signing with WWE, that would not work for the company. He would need to relocate to Florida, or at the very least just the United States in general. TNA Wrestling is an option for Okada. He did appear at the recent Snake Eyes television tapings. It sits as a distant third to the Rainmaker right now. The company cannot outspend Tony Khan, who is willing to make Okada one of the highest paid performers in All Elite Wrestling, and TNA, of course, does not match the allure of WWE, but certainly it is a viable option. Okada's decision is expected to be made fairly soon. If it is AEW, then the Revolution pay-per-view on March 3rd would be a date that makes sense. If he signs with WWE, the announcement could be even sooner than that. Now, when it comes to the latest regarding this, Dave Meltzer has provided an update in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and it has been confirmed that negotiations with either company and the Rainmaker have yet to begin, but both companies are of the belief they have, quote, a strong shot at acquiring Okada services this year. Meltzer has written the following, saying, quote, both WWE and AEW made pitches for him. One person close to Okada said, quote, nothing has started yet, but seems both are going to fight for him hard. It was believed that AEW has made the stronger first offer, but no contract has been signed at press time. As noted months ago, WWE was of the belief they had a strong shot at getting him, with the idea they could convince him he had done all he could do in Japan, and because of the economic differences in wrestling, because of sports right fees just aren't close to the same level in Japan, the American scene is far more lucrative. As noted, one of the reasons that Shinsuke Nakamura has got a renewed push was to show Okada that they would push a Japanese star at a high level. So, according to Meltzer, both are going to make a very strong play when it comes to Okada upon the expiration of his contract, now that Okada is exploring free agency. Now, also, it's quite interesting, Brian Alvarez has given a bit of a background when it comes to Okada's time in New Japan Pro Wrestling, specifically his sort of finances and the way he was compensated in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Speaking on the Brian and Vinny show, Brian Alvarez said Okada was being majorly underpaid by New Japan Pro Wrestling, with AEW emerging as a frontrunner to land his signature. Alvarez said the following, quote, he'd been thinking about leaving once, and then he had a meeting with New Japan, and he wasn't thinking about leaving anymore. And it wasn't because he was offered a lot of money. I don't know exactly what he was making, but people today were like, this is the most underpaid, greatest wrestler of all time. So whatever he was making, if you compare it to what the top stars are making in America today, he's grossly underpaid in New Japan. He's done a lot of shows in AEW, and I don't think he doesn't know what they're making there. They're making a lot of money. Tony Khan did a tweet today, and he talked about how it's going to be an amazing year for AEW in 2024, and it's certainly believed that AEW is the front runner for Okada, that he will likely end up in AEW, but I can tell you he's going to be negotiating with many different people. So I would not say it's a lock that he's going to AEW, but I would say it's very likely he's going to AEW, but it's not like WWE ain't throwing a lot of money around, and it's not like WWE ain't got interest in Okada. Of course, in November, as I mentioned, that it had been reported that there had been increased talk about Kazuchika Okada in WWE. A potential move for the star is reportedly is the reason behind this increased use of Shinsuke Nakamura on WWE television. Alvarez noted that the increased profile of Nakamura and his references to chaos are far from an accident, referencing Okada. He said, quote, trust me that they have interest to the point that Nakamura kept saying he was going to bring chaos to WWE. Things like that are not a coincidence. It's like when he did that GTS for a few weeks. That was right around the time they were negotiating with CM Punk. Then everything with Punk fell through and he stopped doing the GTS. Then negotiations started up again and CM Punk returned at Survivor Series. It is no coincidence that Nakamura has talked about chaos and that there is a chance that Okada would end up in WWE, but it seems very likely that he would be going to AEW. So, what are your thoughts when it comes to the future destination for Kazuchika Okada? Do you believe what the reports are suggesting, that AEW is the front runner? Do you think he could end up in WWE? Who do you think is going to win this race? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, speaking of winning the race for a free agent, Mercedes Monae, there are reportedly some in WWE that think, despite the rumors that she's set to make an AEW debut very soon, they still believe we could see the former women's champion in the Women's Royal Rumble match next weekend. Now, Mercedes Monae hasn't wrestled since breaking her ankle on May 21st at New Japan Strong Resurgence in a match against AEW star Willow Nightingale. The match was to crown the inaugural Strong Women's Champion, and Monae had been scheduled to win, but an audible was called. In fact, it was reported after the show that the title was actually created specifically for Mercedes Monae. While she's been out of action, it's come to light that she'll be ending her Japanese adventure to sign with AEW or even head back to the WWE. When Monae appeared in the crowd at All In, a deal with AEW seemed inevitable, but things didn't quite play out like that. Towards the end of last year, it was revealed that she had been in talks with WWE, but those talks had collapsed, putting AEW back in pole position. Despite this, it's been reported by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter today that some in WWE still believe that Monae could appear in the Royal Rumble on January 27th, saying, quote, even though Julia's contract with Stardom expires in March and she's eventually going to WWE, she retained the New Japan Strong Women's title against Trish Adora in a very good match. She is scheduled to defend the title in Chicago, where she'll likely lose it. Stephanie Vacqua got a win on the undercard, but given the next match is likely a title change, there may be a bigger name opponent for that show. The original plan was for Julia to lose to Mercedes Mercedes Monae on this show, but Monae hasn't returned, and even with all the AEW rumors, and there is the expectation that she'll be in after finishing up some acting commitments this month, nothing is certain, and some in WWE believe there is still a shot at her for the Royal Rumble. Now, when that news came out today, some people were saying, see, people like Sean Ross Sapp that were suggesting that she's going to go to AEW, they're wrong, she's going back to WWE, she's not going to AEW. Well, Sean Ross Sapp has since responded to this, saying, quote, for those still asking, we are still expecting Mercedes Monae to AEW, as do most in the company. So as of right now, it would appear that most people are still suggesting that she's going to go to AEW and she's going to arrive on television once she's finished up some acting commitments, but there are reportedly some in WWE that are still saying we still think it's a possibility she shows up at the Rumble. So very interesting stuff when it comes to Mercedes Monae. Now, Kenny Omega, we've got a health update on Kenny Omega, and it's still not great news, to be honest with you. On December 15th, Kenny Omega announced that he would be out of the ring indefinitely after being admitted to hospital. It was later revealed that the star had been diagnosed with diverticulitis. The situation was incredibly serious and was said to be almost catastrophic, but thankfully Omega received treatment before his condition worsened. Omega's illness caused plans for a World Tag Team title match at World's End to be scrapped. In its place, Omega's partner Chris Jericho teamed with Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin and Sting to defeat the Don Callis family. Writing in today's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer highlighted that Omega is actually advertised for an event on March 20th, although he's unlikely to be fit enough to appear at that event. Meltzer compared the situation to that of Davey Boy Smith Jr., who has suffered from diverticulitis and appendicitis in the past. With Smith Jr., he was able to have surgery straight away, meaning he made an almost superhuman recovery. However, things are very different for the AEW Executive Vice President Omega, with his situation described as, quote, far worse. The AEW star has actually yet to undergo surgery, as the inflammation at the time of diagnosis made this impossible. Furthermore, it will be another 7 weeks before a decision can be taken, even if he's going to have surgery. This is what Meltzer said, quote, Smith got diverticulitis and appendicitis, but had surgery right away and pretty much made a remarkable recovery. Omega's situation was far worse. Due to the inflammation being so bad, he couldn't have surgery at the time, and as of last week, still hadn't had it. The decision will be made in about 7 weeks based on his healing, on whether he'll need surgery or not. But if he does, that would push him out of action significantly longer. There is no time frame on when he will return at this point. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has kind of expanded upon this, saying indeed that Kenny Omega, in fact, has yet to have surgery regarding his diverticulitis. He is not factored into any AEW creative plans right now, and AEW doesn't really even seem to have an idea of when he'll be back, because there isn't even an idea of if or when he's going to have surgery on this problem. So Omega, for right now, is still out of action indefinitely and for quite some time. Now, Will Ospreay. We've got an update when it comes to Will Ospreay in All Elite Wrestling. At Full Gear, back in November, Will Ospreay was unveiled as AEW's latest big money signing from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Although the British star has appeared in AEW on several occasions, he always remained loyal to New Japan Pro Wrestling, with whom he had a contract. However, Ospreay will now officially become a full-fledged member of the AEW roster upon the expiration of his New Japan deal. Reporting in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted that Ospreay will be a regular on television in February before appearing at Revolution. AEW Revolution is scheduled to take place on March 3rd and will play host to Sting's retirement. Meltzer said the following, quote, Ospreay is scheduled for Revolution in Greensboro and will be starting as a regular on television in February. Of course, this lines up really with what Ospreay actually said on his when he made that announcement that he had signed with AEW at Full Gear. He said he'd be back for the road to Revolution, so that is indeed next month. Now, Austin Theory, of course, he suffered an injury last week during his match against Carmelo Hayes. An update has emerged on Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes following their match stoppage following a scary moment on the January 12 edition of SmackDown. Theory and Hayes' singles match was cut short on the show after the stars' heads appeared to collide during a botched Spanish fly spot. Shortly after the show, WWE shared an update noting that both stars suffered face contusions, but ultimately will be fine. While Hayes returned to action on the January 16 edition of NXT, Theory has yet to return to action. Per Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Theory suffered a concussion from the botched spot. Meltzer noted, quote, Theory and Hayes were both hurt on the spot on the January 12 SmackDown show in Lincoln, Nebraska. Theory gave Hayes a downward spiral off the ropes and both landed badly. Theory ended up with a concussion and Hayes was shaken up, but Hayes was able to wrestle on NXT on Tuesday in a tag team match. Of course, right now, it's currently unclear when Theory is expected to return to the ring. We get any more information on that, of course, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, Dark Side of the Ring. It was recently confirmed that Dark Side of the Ring is coming back for a 5th season, and the list of episodes, or at least an updated list of episodes, has been reported by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The long-running series dives into the more unsavory episodes from wrestling's past, highlighting some of the most controversial incidents and figures the sport has ever seen. WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle is the biggest name to feature in the upcoming season, although the details of the episodes remain unclear. Angle made himself a legend after turning a stunning Olympic gold medal winning amateur career into a remarkable pro career with the likes of WWE and TNA. However, that career came at a cost as the star notched up an incredible number of serious neck injuries, which played a huge role in a major battle with addiction. The list of episodes, according to Meltzer, are as follows, quotes, "For the new season of Dark Side of the Ring, we know of these episodes: Brutus Beefcake, Harley Race, Buff Bagwell, Kurt Angle, Chris Adams, Sandman, and Black Saturday, when Vince McMahon purchased Georgia Championship Wrestling to get access to the TBS time slots in 1984. So, of course, we'll wait and see if we get any more details as to when they're filming or when they're expected to air on television. Finally, Elimination Chamber is next month. It's going to be emanating from Perth. We've got more details on it right now. Elimination Chamber 2024 will officially have an early start time for viewers in the United States. On Friday, Paul Triple H Levesque revealed the poster for Elimination Chamber. It lists that the premium live event will air live on Peacock starting at 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific on Saturday, February 24. Elimination Chamber is taking place from Optus Stadium in Perth, Australia. Australia native Rhea Ripley is featured on the poster. It had been reported that it would be starting at an early morning time because, of course, it's taking place in Australia. For us in the UK, that's no bother. I think that's 10 a.m. for us here in the UK. No matches have been announced for Elimination Chamber as of right now. WWE has confirmed that CM Punk and Logan Paul will be appearing at the show, but one person that isn't likely to appear at the show is undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Meltzer wrote last week that Reigns has never been advertised for Elimination Chamber, and there are no plans for him to be added to the show. Of course, it's the last premium live event before WrestleMania 40. It follows the Royal Rumble, which is being held at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida on Saturday, January 27. But there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thought in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.